friends! I'm at Jen's house, so I decided to steal her little introduction. But today we're going to be talking about Saint Dymphna, who is the patron saint of those suffering with anxiety and other mental illnesses. And she's also the patron saint of victims of incest, which I thought was pretty interesting. But her feast day is May 15th, and she was born in Ireland during the 17th century to her pagan father Damon and her devout Christian mother. At 14, she consecrated herself to Christ and was secretly baptized, and she took a vow of chastity. But shortly afterwards, her mother died, and her father truly loved her, and so he was filled with an insane amount of grief, and his mental stability suffered quickly because of that. In an attempt to try and lessen that, he agreed to remarry, but only if they were able to find a woman who was as beautiful as his wife. Needless to say, they failed. And his advisors came up with this evil-filled plan to marry his daughter. And shortly after that idea was put into his head, he only was able to view her as his wife when he looked at her. And so he agreed to the remarriage. But she found out about his plan, and she fled to Belgium in the town of Kiel with her confessor, Father Jerebron, two trusted servants of hers, and also the jester, which they refer to as the king's fool. Historians aren't exactly sure what happened next, but they know that the group settled down, and Dymphna started to build a hospital for the poor and sick, but because she used her father's wealth, it was really easy for him to find her location. And so he arrived and captured the group and ordered the priest's head to be separated from his body. Then he decided that he would attempt to convince his daughter to go back to Ireland and marry her. But when she refused, he decapitated his own daughter, and the bodies were just left there. And when that happened, she was only 15 years old. So when he left back to Ireland, residents of that town collected the remains of the dead bodies and laid them in a cave. Dymphna received the crown of martyrdom around the year 1620 and became known as the Lily of Air. A church was built honoring her in 1349 in that same Belgian town, and by 1480, so many pilgrims were going there in need of treatment for different mental illnesses that the church was expanded. But even then, the sanctuary was completely overflowing, so the townspeople actually took the pilgrims into their homes, and that started this tradition of care for the mentally ill that still continues to this day, which I also thought was really cool. But unfortunately, in the 15th century, the original church burned to the ground, and the Church of St. Dymphna was built and consecrated in 1532, where it still stands above the location of where her body was originally buried. It's been shown and proven that many miracles have taken place in that shrine, and her remains were placed in a silver reliquary in the church. Some of her remains are also found at the Shrine of St. Dymphna in a certain town in Ohio. The priest who helped her escape was also canonized a saint, and his remains were moved somewhere in Germany. So when she is portrayed, she's often shown with a crown on her head, and she's dressed in these royal robes, and she's holding a sword that symbolizes her martyrdom. And other holy cards show her wearing green and white while holding a book in white lilies because of that title she's ordained. But yeah, that's all I have. I figured this would be a really good saint to talk about because I know I pray to Saint Dymphna a lot, and I know that a bunch of other people would take comfort and get a great benefit out of praying to her too, especially during this crazy time right now. So hopefully you guys learned something and get a little closer to Saint Dymphna. Bye guys!